Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 13 is finally out, and I know that a lot of you guys have been going and raving all over the internet because of the leaks, since this is a massive chapter. But let's be honest, every single chapter that Boruto drops is massive on its own. So without further ado, let's get into the chapter. But first and foremost, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, like this video, and let me know in the comment sections what you think, because there's a lot of theories going on and I have some of my own that I haven't seen many people talk about yet, but I definitely want to cover those in some other videos. Right now, I just want to go over the chapter itself. Make sure to follow me on all social media channels. My primary source of content is TikTok, but you can check me out on every single one of them. Let's get into it. I really like the cover. As a matter of fact, I really enjoyed all of the covers that they have done for every single Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapters. They haven't really been super intricate or extravagant at all. For the most part, they just have been showing the new character designs or the time skip, as well as the color palette, so it gives a better perspective of what the characters are. So me, in my personal opinion, I'm enjoying every single color and the color schemes that they have been using for these characters. Now, the purple and the white background is a great, in my opinion, it's a great option. And for the fact that it's called prescience is something that I didn't notice when I first read it until earlier today when I was going over it again in order to make this video. On the first page, we see just how far Jura's vision goes. It's incredible how far this man is actually able to snipe not only Boruto, but Sarada too. And also the fact that he is able to be rational regarding this. Up until this point, Jura has really just been acting under the pretense of curiosity, but he was just born, he had just awakened an ego, and he's curious. But after seeing what Boruto's really capable of when he fought Hidari, even though Jura is still curious, as he mentions Boruto is intriguing, he doesn't really care to end his life right there and then. Even though Shinju are supposed to instinctively eat the Otsutsuki, and Boruto is one of the only two Otsutsukis left, it's really interesting the fact that he wants to get rid of Boruto just because of how massive Boruto is as a threat. Unfortunately for Jura, Mamushi stops him, and I think this is the first time that we hear his name, which I like because we finally get to call him something instead of ugly bald guy. Matsuri somehow found out someone has been assisting Boruto, and I'm curious to find out how she actually figured that out, but Jura realizes that Boruto had knowledge on them prior to this. We also get an interesting piece of information here. Jura lets us know that the Thorn Soul Bulb actually have a specific time frame to provide them with nutrients or it'll rot. So he decides to retreat instead of finishing off Boruto. But he said something that I didn't think a lot of people paid attention to, and I didn't really realize it until I reread the chapter. But after reading it again, I have a theory that I will talk about a little bit later. And that is the fact that he said Boruto is a lucky man. It's as if heavens are decreeing that you remain alive. Perhaps some divine intervention. And to some, this might not mean much, but me personally, I think this is the main takeaway that we gotta take from this chapter. But like I said, I'll talk about it a little bit later. We see a flashback of Boruto and he is escaping the Leaf Shinobi pursuing him. Turns out Kashi Koji found him and lets him know that he is there to help Boruto. He makes Boruto touch the toad and reverse summons Boruto. Turns out that Koji has been hiding inside of one of Orochimaru's hideouts. Does this mean that Orochimaru is helping Koji, or did he just figure out where this hideout was? Seems to me that Koji has some sort of knowledge on him because he didn't address Orochimaru or the hideout as the ninja from the village or anything like that. He just straight up said this is Orochimaru's hideout. So it seems a little bit personal in my opinion, but it's too soon to tell. We haven't seen anything on Orochimaru yet since 2 Blue Vortex started. Then he introduces himself as a creation of Sanzu Amado. And again, I think this is the first time that we're seeing Amado's family name because I don't remember reading it at all up until this point. Koji wastes no time and tries to confirm with Boruto if his memories are right or if it's something else going on. He doesn't know exactly what omnipotence is, but he understands it's some sort of godly power that swapped the memories of everyone about Kawaki and Boruto. And here we find out that Koji actually realizes all of this about Boruto and Kawaki because he knew the possibility that this was going to happen was very high. He goes on to explain that he was created by Amado in order to defeat Ishiki and obviously stop the planet from being devoured by the Divine Tree, and that he was satisfied with what he accomplished during the fight, forcing Ishiki to reincarnate inside the body of Jigen because it wasn't compatible. So he trusted Naruto to finish the job. Then his ability awakened as he was able to see the future, multiple futures actually, right before he died, realizing that everything he was seeing were small glimpses of future realities, including the one where the Shinju awakened from the Divine Tree. We are specifically shown this one where there's actually 5 Shinju not necessarily 4 as we have seen so far, and one that looks very closely related to Shinji, which is Gaara's son. In that moment, Koji realizes that Ishiki's death wouldn't be the end of it, because even after Naruto took care of him, the divine tree at some point would still be planted. Since there was more that he needed to do in order to stop the planet from being in harm's way, he decided to leave and make sure to get out of there as fast as he could so that he wouldn't be killed by Ishiki. And it seems that since that day, he has actually been studying the series of events that are transpiring to better understand his ability. He states that he knew omnipotence would happen before it even took place. Then we find out that it is actually all because of Shibai, the Otsutsuki that devoured so many planets. He became a god and acquired all of Shinjutsu. We talked about him many chapters ago back in Boruto, Naruto Next Generations. He hasn't really been mentioned up until this point in Two Blue Vortex, so I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with that. We get even crazier information though. It's not only Koji, Code, Ada, and Damon. Every single Kara member was implanted with some sort of Shibai cells in order to manifest Shinjutsu. However, the only ones that awakened it were Damon and Ada, recently Code with the claw marks, and Koji now with the ability to be able to see all possible futures. Since there aren't any other Kara members alive anymore, we don't really have to worry about them, but Delta is still a possibility. Especially because of the fact that she is modeled after Amado's daughter, so I know that he's going to try to take care of her as much as possible. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Shinjutsu she awakens whenever it is her time to do it. Now, the power that Koji awakened was prescience, which is the ability to see all possible futures. Since the future is in a straight line, it branches off depending on specific events that take place whenever it is that they do take place. And he gives us an example of Naruto being defeated by Ishiki instead of the other way around, which is the certain type of events that we're following right now in the story. Another example will be the way that Kawaki sent Naruto to his pocket dimension. There was the possibility that Kawaki actually killed Boruto and Sarada along with him, which obviously would mean that Boruto and Kawaki never switched positions, meaning that later on Code would beat up Kawaki since Code was much stronger than Kawaki, making him become food for the Ten Tails, and the world ended anyway. But that one didn't happen either, so it followed a different series of events. Boruto has a very good question for Koji though, and that is, if things are gonna happen a certain way anyway, what's the point of seeing multiple timelines? And Koji's response is being able to gather intel, knowing what's possible to come. It certainly helps being able to prepare for it instead of being caught off guard. Or he would just teach Boruto all possible jutsu his future self would learn across multiple futures in order to make Boruto as strong as he can possibly be, which explains so much how Boruto became so completely different beast of his own since the first chapter of Two Blue Vortex. Not so much as a power cliffing anymore. But Koji seems to also have all of the information in order to rescue Sasuke and the others that would turn into trees. Then he warns Boruto about the worst possible future that we can see, which is the Ten Tails breaking from Code's control, evolving and developing its own ego consciousness, and splitting into multiple divine tree people, which are the Shinju, which is very likely to happen since most possible futures he saw the Shinju become a real threat. And that is the reality that we are actually experiencing right now. But the most dangerous of all of them is Jura, which is the leader, because he will for sure kill Boruto. It's not something that will happen for sure, but it is very likely since it shows in most futures. Koji offers to help Boruto because this future becomes real, but Boruto stops him to let him know that he will do everything there is in order to stop the divine tree from realizing itself, but there's absolutely no way that he will ever take it as far as killing Kawaki. He will only try to change his mind, as he says, knock some sense into his bro. So he puts his headband and claims to finish off Code and the Ten Tails no matter what. That's the end of the flashback, and we go back to the present time where Sarada is asking to have Boruto taken care of. Himawari wakes up and realizes that Sarada is injured too. So she goes and actually heals Sarada with her QB awakened powers to everyone's surprise. Irrelevant side character number 9 asks Himawari to heal Boruto too, but Kawaki stops her. Obviously Sarada is upset about this, but Kawaki states that he will let Himawari heal him only after Konohamaru does something first, which is to place some handcuffs on Boruto, handcuffs that were specifically designed by Amado as scientific ninja tools to conveniently seal all types of jutsu. They do this in order to be able to capture intel from Boruto. Then Kawaki finds the toad that Koji had been using to communicate with Boruto. He realizes that this is Koji's toad, and then Koji makes the toad disappear to not leave any traces behind. We go back to him and realize that this is a bothersome turn of events. Not exactly what Koji had planned probably, but it could be worse since Boruto isn't dead yet, because we know that Jura almost kills him every time, but this time he didn't. Our point of view switches over to the Shinju and the thorn bulb, that is Hidari, gets fed with nutrients from the tree in order for him to come back. Jura checks in on Hidari in order to see if he still kept his identity or if it was reset, but he did keep it since he still recognizes himself as the thing being called Hidari. Then Matsuri interrupts and says it's time. Time for the new Shinju to come to life since a new thorn bulb has been harvested. We also get a small hint that Matsuri can actually control things telepathically since it seems that she is moving the thorn bulb around by using her hand, but then again we also saw Jura do the exact same thing last chapter with Hidari's. And then at the end of the chapter, all of them are looking to see what will emerge from it, and Jura is wondering what to name this new Shinju. Now this was an incredible chapter overall. A lot of new information has been released to us all, and I can't wait to see what is going to happen next month. The only unfortunate thing is that we have to wait an entire month in order to see another chapter. One thing that I do want to emphasize on, this line by Jura where he said, "The heavens are decreeing that he remains alive. Perhaps divine intervention." This is going to be very, very relevant to the story in my opinion, and I think it is correlated to Shibai. We saw that in most futures that Koji saw, Jura ends up killing Boruto. This one could have potentially been one of those, but Jura is not doubting his abilities or his power one bit. He is making it seem like Boruto is surviving is nothing more than pure luck. As a matter of fact, in the previous chapter, Jura also seems perplexed that he missed Boruto's vitals whenever he shot him, almost as if he wasn't supposed to miss. And the fact that Jura is a divine tree who has been used for I don't know how long by the Otsutsuki in order to evolve and eat chakra fruits, it's possible that he can awaken unimaginable power, and Shibai is somehow trying to prevent that from happening. I'll make a separate video explaining all of my theories regarding all of this, but I would like to hear your thoughts on what you guys think it means when Jura is saying that there's some sort of divine intervention that is stopping Boruto from dying. What did you guys think of this chapter? Please let me know in the comment section. This was definitely a massive one, and I would love to hear more from you guys. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.